Hello, and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy, episode number 48. Again, for the first time. My name is Ryan Higgins, and I'll introduce some people, and then we'll talk about last week, and then we'll talk about this week. There you go. I'm joined by my lovely co-host, as always.
Why do you call me lovely? Brock Sager.
And I'm also joined by, down the far end here,
Toby.
And up not quite so far as Toby.
Charlie.
And down the other far end,
Omar.
And way down there, we have two special sit-in guests that aren't participating in the podcast. However, they are here as watching us for some reason. Just yell your names real quick.
Tony and David.
Hey,
what's
these
up,
guys are starting. Tony's a longtime customer of the store. They're doing a podcast. They want to kind of see how the magic works. I told them they should go find a real podcast, but I guess they wanted to sit in on ours for some reason. So hope you guys don't mind us talking about some comics for a little bit. Last week, we recorded a fairly good episode with our now kind of permanent also chair, Omar here. And there were some slight malfunctions. We were recording on a new laptop, which we were still not even recording on the new laptop. No. We've came across a number of problems that are preventing us.
We're thankful for the new laptop.
Brock is extremely
thankful.
It's just there. Last week we recorded. There were some really bad audio issues. This week, among the testing, there was some more issues that prevented us from using this laptop to record. However, Brock, I think you are very, very thankful.
Yes.
If you want to give shout-outs
to the Geekbox listener who donated months ago, and to Michael for helping out with a sizable amount of donation. Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Yeah, once we get some things worked out on that laptop, we will begin using it for its actual use. Well, its actual use, Brock's blog and the podcast.
And the podcast.
Brock uses it for all his porn and everything too. So maybe that's why I don't know what was God's name. So we didn't have an episode from last week. However, if you want to listen, we do. If you want to listen to 47.5, the horrible sounding one, you can go on YouTube. Just do a search for
because that's where all the horrible shit goes.
Right.
Is YouTube.
Just do a search for the Comic Conspiracy episode 47.5, and you can listen to it in its terrible audio quality.
What are you talking about? That's like Dolby surround sound, man.
If that was Dolby surround sound, my ears would be blown out because it's like really high pitched and just
True. I agree, but some of our faithful listeners like Liquid and Kenzo gave us props on that.
Yeah. No, it was a fine episode. It's just the sound quality is terrible. So we've tried a few people have tried to mix with it, but we ended up just recording and it blew out the top end of the sound, and it sounds just like a bunch of static. So
if you got speakers that are going out and you just want to push them to that ultimate level, just play that.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, this week, we announced this on last week's podcast, and so probably none of you do because like only 100 people probably listen to it. We're actually going to be doing the 6-month review of the DC Comics New 52 titles. This is not going to be 2.5 hour episodes like it was last time we did this for the first month.
Those were some of like the most downloaded episodes.
They were, but
and it was fun.
I'm not going to be here for 3 fucking hours doing with this. Okay, or 2 weeks in a row. So let's try to wrap this up a little bit quicker. We're all going to talk about some of our favorite series, some series we felt kind of didn't quite hit the mark. Talk briefly about what's happened with the books, sales chart wise, what they're doing for the new titles coming up. And then one of our listeners and customers, Gage, had a great idea of characters we'd like to see new 52-ized, new books that launch.
You know what's really easy to say?
What's that?
You'd like to see a ton of... What characters would you like to see rejiggered?
Okay,
see?
There we go.
Oh!
Sure, if Brock wants that. So
you want it.
Why don't we start with down the far end, Omar? You're newest here, so you get to go first.
Perfect.
Let's start with... Let's start on a happy note. If you could just pick a few of the new 52 titles, like, don't get too far into it because we don't have all day. But what are you liking? We're 6 months in.
6 months in.
What are you 6 issues in a row of awesomeness?
Okay, I'm going to keep it really simple, and I'm going to talk about comics like I talk about my women. I got my top 20, top 30 list, my top 5. How it starts, because right when you meet someone, you're in the honeymoon stage. It's all exciting and hot. But then we talk about now, 6 months later. So I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through my top 5, which probably was a lot of people's top 5 right when it started. Number 1 was Justice League. Number 2...
I think I see a list. He came prepared.
Number 2 was Animal Man.
As prepared as you ever were.
Number 3, Batwoman, because...
What was your number 2? I didn't hear from the
Number 2 was Animal Man. Number 4, Catwoman. Number 5 is Action. And that totally flipped. Like, Catwoman is actually number 1 now for me. Green Lantern jumped back up just because I really love the relationship between Sinestro and Hal. And, of course, Hal being earthbound and neutralized and powerless. Swamp Thing.
Hal's never powerless.
Well, of course, because he's Hal. Swamp Thing, because Scott Jeff
Snyder.
Lemire? Jeff Lemire, actually? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is Jeff Lemire?
That's a Jeff Lemire book.
That's Scott, Swamp Thing?
Yeah.
Something?
Scott Snyder.
Scott Snyder.
I'm flipping Animal Man. And
Yeah, Animal Man's Jeff
Jeff
Lemire.
Lemire,
Yeah.
the Chew guy?
No.
No? All right. Sorry.
See, now we're just
Sweet
all over
youth.
the place.
Yes. And then Wonder Woman, because Cliff Chang and Brian Az just are kicking ass.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Batwoman still being number 5. So I love all those books a lot. And it's like it only takes like maybe when I pick up the book, I flip through it, and it's like I'm done in like 7 minutes because I'm very passionate. It's not about, for me, it's not about how long. It's just about how fast it is for me.
Are you talking about reading your comics, or are you talking about molesting women?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
I'm clocking in at like 2.5, so it's like, I got nothing.
Happens to all of us.
Yeah.
Cialis.
There's maybe like 6 or 7 books that are in the middle that I like. I won't talk about them. I know a lot of them will be covered.
Sure.
And then, of course, there's tons of books that I dumped. I started off with like 30 books. You remember, Ryan?
Yeah,
30
yeah.
books because I really wanted to go through, all of 52. But, of course, my disposable income, I wish it was bigger.
Sure.
Didn't allow me to do that. Now I'm like around 21 books.
Okay.
But I may drop off on 3 or 4 depending on if they get better.
How about some disappointments? What are your...
Well, let's do the whole
Oh,
table
okay.
first.
Yeah.
Good. And then we'll come back
My
around
bad, my
to some
bad.
disappointment.
Boss
No,
man.
you're good. You're good. Let's go to Charlie. Charlie, what's your give us 3 to 5 books that you're loving. 1 to 6, beautiful, amazing. What are your tops?
Green Lantern is probably one of the best examples of sort of building,
Yep.
at least for me, in terms of the New 52. It sort of started and sort of picked up and got really good.
Well, here's a question since you both mentioned Green Lantern. Green Lantern was DC's top-selling title going into New 52, and now it's a solid top 10 book, but it's not the number 1 book anymore. Does that kind of surprise you guys, or does that seem like all the promotion towards the other books? Like, it seems like Green Lantern hasn't gone up quite as much, but it's remained at a higher level, and now we've seen so many books even eclipse Green Lantern.
Well, but a large part of that has to do with the fact they didn't actually reboot Green Lantern for the most part. I mean,
Sure.
you could jump on at issue 1, and some people did, obviously. But more people were excited to check out stuff they were changing, and one of the first things they announced was, we're not changing Green Lantern. So I think in terms of that, it's kind of one of those things where when you talk about the New 52, I always kind of go back to certain books didn't change enough to really have it feel like a new book. Mm-hmm. So,
Move on to your what else you got, Charlie?
still enjoying Demon Knights. It's been very consistent from issue to issue.
You gonna put that in like kind of your top 5 or so?
Yeah,
Okay.
I would definitely put that in my top 5.
Nice.
It's just working for me on all levels.
Yeah.
Batman just blows me away how artistic that book can be, and I just love Batman. And yes, I love Batman.
We all
It's
love
okay.
Batman.
Yeah.
You can have some Batman love.
Yes, I can. And I would actually probably round it out with Swamp Thing.
Good choices.
Cool. Anything add kind of your overall list? Any feeling like about these books? Like what do you sort of?
Well, Swamp Thing, I think most of the stuff that I've been enjoying tends to be the stuff that sort of like Detective started out really strong, and then my interest kind of waned on it. So I'm still reading it, but the stuff that I kind of listed is the stuff that I felt either started really strong and stayed consistent, or actually built and got better and better as the issues went on, and sort of giving you that payoff.
Cool. Toby,
Yo.
hit me up. Now, you've been catching up on a few of the books. I think you've not been reading. I mean, I don't think you're reading
I'm
as much as
furthest behind out of everybody here.
you're not reading as much as we are, but I know you got real strong into the Teen Titans and Superboy stuff. So what's your? Give me a few books.
That's definitely in my 5. So I kind of but I kind of do that anyways, though. Even like before the 52,
Sure.
I get excited about the main titles, and then as time goes on, I kind of gravitate towards kind of the B stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, Superboy is still my surprise. I still like it. Teen Titans for sure. I'm actually more excited about that one than some of the other books at this point. Yeah.
You're aware of the new Ravagers book coming up with
I'm very, very excited about that
Beast
one.
Boy and who is it? Gen
Fairchild.
13, yeah, Fairchild.
Yeah.
So.
Very excited about that. What are some of these others? Red Hood actually turned out to be pretty solid title. I'm actually enjoying that one quite a bit. Trying to think. Wonder Woman, I've been thoroughly surprised. I didn't think I was going to like it that long. And Supergirl, I thought was going to keep me around. Didn't really. Drifter didn't keep me around. Voodoo actually surprised me a little bit too because I kept reading that one.
Yeah.
I'm surprised at that one. Number 5, I don't know. Yeah, I'll be with 4 just because of my lack of reading.
That's fine.
Yeah.
No,
What about Nightwing?
Well, here's you guys. All right, Nightwing is one of my favorite characters.
Okay.
Without the bad history intact, it doesn't feel like Nightwing to me anymore.
Really?
Like Birds of Prey to me is not Birds of Prey anymore. Nightwing is, I don't know. I mean, it's Nightwing, but
It goes into
It's not-
Haley Circus. And,
Yeah,
his connections with all the
I
other.
don't. When I read the first couple of issues, I mean, I don't know. It didn't feel like Dick Grayson pre-52 anymore. It's
Yeah.
a different
No, it's
kind of.
definitely
I don't
different.
know. It's a different to me. I don't know what I liked about him character-wise. For some reason, right now, it's not there. Right now, I mean, he's still one of my favorite characters, but at this moment, I don't know. I need my bad history back. I want
Sure.
Cassie back. I want Steph back. I want
Yeah.
Damien to be the youngest one, which he still is. But the whole Tim history. But that's just me, though. But
Yeah, I
I'm
think-
so ingrained in that history that it's hard to let that go. But
I think that's a big struggle that maybe a lot of us were going through too,
Yeah.
with just the how they're going to still keep us around, the faithful readers that have been
Yeah.
around for many years versus the new people bringing them in and to do the balancing act of that. And I think that's a big reason why maybe the first 3 or 4 issues they're more kind of like leading you in, keeping you around, and now they're getting into the meat and potatoes.
yeah, I mean,
less
I
sizzle,
have
more
to
the
I'm
steak.
gonna continue reading. I mean, I think I only read the first 2 or 3, but we'll see.
Well, to me, a large part of that has to do with the writing, just because there's plenty of examples of stuff they've changed in major ways that are still really massively good reads, like Batgirl.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The Nightwing writing just isn't quite there.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe the writing isn't there, and I don't care as much. He's still one of my favorites, but Barbara is always there for me too. I miss the old birds. I miss the old Oracle. So I don't know. I'm still what bothered me in the beginning still bothering me now, but I have a lot of love for some of the new books. I miss the old, so I'm kind of like in between. So
Brock, hit us.
Hit you. Well, I mean, I'm enjoying the big stuff like Justice League and Batman, Swamp Thing, Animal Man. Those are great, but
Oh, that's
I don't
4.
know.
That's 4.
No, but that's the thing. They've already been listed.
you only get one more, man.
They've already been listed.
I don't think anyone said Justice League yet.
No, you mentioned it.
Omar did.
He almost that was his first number
First,
one.
that's
like,
true.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
it's
I'm
definitely
just
dropped off for me.
saying these are the big titles that I've
Sure.
enjoyed. But
Yeah.
like the titles that I really enjoy, kind of
What are you digging?
that I also like, I always kind of look forward to. I always look forward to Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that book has been amazing, every issue. I also look forward to Resurrection Man, just
Yeah.
because it's fun. Like it's a fun read. You know what's funny? All Star Western has been really, really good. It's had
Yeah,
a
I've
really
been
solid
tempted
story
Picking up that one.
throughout, and then it's got that nice little backup stories in the last few. What was the other one? Oh, just because it's been kicking Marvel's ass, Aquaman.
Everybody
Fuck
loves
yeah.
Aquaman.
2 months in a row.
Yep.
How do you do that?
2 months in a row, Aquaman has outsold every Marvel comic. That's very impressive. And it'll probably be 3, maybe 4 months, but once Avengers vs. X-Men comes out, obviously not. But it's great to see it up that high already.
So I mean, there's a top 5. It's hard because you have such good books with all these good books, but I mean, it's one of those things where you kind of have those nice little ones like Demon. I enjoy reading Demon Knights. I enjoy reading Frankenstein. I think there's a lot. You can find kind of some books that you're going to really attach to. You don't need to attach to everything, but there's a good chunk that you can attach onto. So, Higgins, you're up.
Oh, is it me? All right. Well, going into
Morrison, Johns.
Yeah, I Vampire.
well, going into this year,
Animal Man.
Well, hold on,
we
hold on.
pick it for him.
Yeah, right.
going into this year, my favorite book from last year was Batman Incorporated. But my number 2 book was Animal Man, and that hasn't changed. Animal Man and then Swamp Thing as well. What Jeff Lemire and Scott Snyder are doing in those 2 titles is amazing, and I can't wait to see where they go with this. Animal Man, going back to the Grant Morrison run, has always been one of my favorite characters. I love these B, C-list characters, hell, C and D-list characters, not even B-list. And what he's done in these last handful of issues has been amazing. Travel Foreman, the artist, is such a great artist. It's sad to see him leaving, but it was just Steve Pugh? Steve Pugh?
Is it Steve?
Mike
Yeah,
Pugh?
yeah. Steve Pugh, I think.
I'm totally
Pugh,
blanking on his name. He is because the number 7 just came out and he did some of the art on that. Really good job. I don't think there's anything else I can really say about Animal Man that I haven't said before. Just because of what they've been doing. Steve Pugh. Swamp Thing as well. The fact that they're being able to tie those 2 books in together going forward, I'm really looking forward to see what they do with them. I gotta then give it to my man Grant on Action. Action has been so good. It's a very different Superman, and I get it that some people maybe aren't quite into what he's doing with it, but for me, it continues to never let down. I guess my only complaint would be that they're sort of jumping around in the story a little bit, and we're not quite current continuity yet, so there's still some weirdness, but
It's Grant Morrison, though, right?
It's Morrison. They're giving him a wide open field to do what he wants.
Sure.
I'm going to let it go. I got my number 5 book. I got a few ones I'm throwing around for number 4. I don't quite know where to go, but I have to give it to Batman. Again, Scott Snyder is owning Batman. Batman has actually increased in sales almost every issue for us. DC released something earlier today saying that their sales on Batman are almost levels of their sales of Justice League, which is incredible. Not that Justice League has fallen a ton, is that Batman keeps going up, and that's huge. That is huge. So Batman coming forward with the Court of Owls crossover. Well, not a crossover per se. It's like 1 or 2 issues of each series is sort
Isn't
of
it
tying
Night
in.
of Owls?
Or Night of Owls.
Yeah.
So.
Because
Court of Owls
is ending.
Yeah.
We're having
Court of Owls is
the
the
Night
thing,
of Owls.
right.
But that's going to cross over with most of the Bat books and even like All Star Western.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's only like
can't
one
wait for the
issue.
Western.
It's like 1 or 2 issues. It's not like a big crossover.
It's not. It's you're going to have the main.
It's a tie-in, not a crossover.
Yeah.
Crossovers part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. This is just a tie-in where these books are all being involved with the Court of Owls. So, but 5, and you could say this is an easy pick, and that a lot of people maybe don't like it as much as they thought. But this is a good segue into something I did want to talk about real quick. I got to give it to Justice League, and maybe not those first 5 issues, although I like them all. They're a good setup. But what happened in issue number 6, which I want to talk about now, to me is really interesting, and it shows what they're going to do going forward, that they're not abandoning previous stories like Toby was worried about with the Batman titles. And my hope for the future of the New 52 and the whole DC universe hinges upon what happens in issue number 6. And we should talk about this because we haven't talked about issue 6 yet in any of the podcasts. So besides being in the past and defeating Darkseid and all that, we're now introduced to Pandora, who is Brock's little purple cloaked chick, the hooded girl, who's been floating
You've
around.
claimed her?
I've claimed her. She's mine.
Who's been floating around all the books.
Awesome purple hood. Those guns. Oh.
But we now, at least, believe we know who she is. She's Darkseid's daughter. That is what is heavily implied, that she's the daughter of Darkseid. She is as powerful as the Phantom Stranger, who is this guy who can basically wander between worlds and realities. She was personally responsible for making the New 52 universe, as again implied with Justice League number 6. She was in Flashpoint, so clearly pushing Barry towards this new universe. And it sounds like her and the Phantom Stranger are aware of the previous universe.
Yeah.
So this is huge 6 months in, and that possibility exists. This is sort of their out if they want it. And that, to me, that issue 6 and the backup was done by your buddy Danda, too.
Yeah,
so it was really nice, real good art.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I'm really excited what they're going to do with that and what this means. It could be a red herring. You could never talk about it again. But I have a feeling we're going to get a lot of Darkseid. We're going to get more stuff with her.
We're getting more Pandora in Justice League in the next few issues.
Couple issues, right? Yeah.
So she's going to be directly involved in that. So, I mean, we'll see where it goes. But yeah, there's been a lot of talk about those, those characters and
Sure.
who those characters really are and what does she mean by this? And
Well, it's real interesting to see Phantom Stranger.
posts.
yeah.
It's real interesting to see Phantom Stranger in this new universe being pretty much Phantom Stranger from the old universe.
Yeah.
That he's just really kind of outside of continuity. So I'm really curious to see what they do with him going forward. And yeah, I mean, Justice League, I assume, is where most of this is going to take place. But if you're an old school DC fan and you're maybe not too happy with this New 52 stuff, read Justice League number 6 because it seems to imply that a lot of this old stuff is still around or possibility.
Well, I mean, look at the Batman universe and look at the Green Lantern universe. I mean, there are things that didn't necessarily get changed.
Yeah.
Certain things did,
Sure.
but for the most part, things didn't really change too much with those universes. Whereas, like, Superman kind of got an overhaul.
Yeah.
The Superman universe got overhauled. So it's, you have all these kind of things going on, but with Justice League, I think they wanted to give you that introduction to the team that modernization that we haven't had. Because every time they
they wanted to give you a fresh new story of how they formed. So that's the best way.
But that's the thing is like every time we've had a Justice League kind of number one, it's always we need to get the Justice League back together.
Right.
It hasn't been kind of this coming together of people because we need to save the world. It's more of we need to get a team together to save the world.
Well, kind of going back to the Star Trek reboot, I also kind of feel like it gives the same kind of bridging gap that they used the original Spock to kind of go, where you can kind of acknowledge what came before while still plotting ahead to new stories.
And I would not doubt for a minute that crossed their mind. Because what Abrams did with the new Star Trek movie both acknowledges the past and respects it, but moves it forward in a new direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you put it before, it was a reboot, it was a sequel, and it was a third one.
Yeah.
I forgot, you put it once in. It was pretty solid. It was like a sequel.
It's like a remake and a reboot and a sequel.
It's like
right,
all in
all
one.
at once.
I was like, yeah, it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I see it, is just people love having somebody left behind.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go backwards now and do not books that we hated necessarily, or
I have a
books
few of those.
Well, because,
Bottom of the barrel.
because we'd all just throw out freaking Hawk and Dove, and that'd be the end of the podcast. No, not books that. But
That book was thrown under the bus before it was even out.
I want books. I want a book or two. Don't go crazy. 1 or 2 books that you feel just fell totally short of what you were hoping for. And I got 2 off the bat, and I'll start and we'll go backwards. Firestorm and Superman. Firestorm, I love Ronnie Raymond. I like Jason Rush, all right, who's the more recent Firestorm. I was really excited for this book. It's Gail Simone, Ethan Van Sciver, Yerle Sinar is the artist. What an amazing creative team.
For sure.
I love Firestorm, one of my favorite characters. But this book just failed me on every level. They made Ronnie and Jason just really boring. They've made them into like these weaponized projects to run around, and everyone has to have a firestorm. That every country's going to have a firestorm, and it's going to like stop nuclear war or some garbage. And they accidentally become firestorm. I mean, I don't know how you modernized the firestorm story, but that.
But don't you
not the way.
Don't you really like Fury?
No. Oh, right. So the 2 firestorms combined to become a big firestorm. No. It's so. I don't know what about this book.
I can tell you.
I don't know.
I can tell you where it fell off.
What's it?
It's because out of Brightest Day, we had this ticking time bomb.
Which was
This
awesome.
Awesome story. Like you cared about Firestorm. You were like engaged in the Firestorm from Brightest Day, and you were like, oh my God, he's going to blow up. And then it's done. This great potential that was built up from the prior, universe, and now it's kind of just. It's like, oh, it's going to be a huge explosion, and then
happens.
It's like one of those little poppers.
Yeah.
So,
Superman is another book that, I mean, I like George Perez's art, but as far as story goes, this was not the Superman book to start off with. The story was so far has been just kind of meandering and very dialogue heavy. I remember, Toby, you even put number 1 off to the very last book to read because of how much text was in it.
Yeah.
Because you wanted to get
I
through.
kept flipping through it. I'm like, yeah, no.
It hasn't changed.
First. Yeah.
I mean, he's off the book now, so with issue 7 going forward, it's going to be a different creative team, different story. Keith Giffen's taking over, who I do like. And I don't hate George Perez. I love his art. I think he's a fine idea man, but I just think someone else should have written this book as a way to start it. Contrast it to Action Comics, which, again, is one of my favorite books. This is not the same character that's in Action Comics in my mind. This is a weird alien guy that's kind of there, and the book's not even about him, really.
Well, it's one of those things where I actually really enjoyed the Superman book because it was text heavy, because it was dialogue heavy, because it took me a while to read that book. I was like, I'm enjoying reading a comic book.
The first issue or two I thought was okay, but it never picked up.
Yeah,
it never went anywhere.
The pacing of it never went anywhere, and I think the problem that you have with the Superman is that Morrison is giving us a Superman of the past who is not really confident, not really anything. And this is supposed to be a Superman that's kind of more of the Justice League type Superman.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet, and we're still getting that sniveling, kind of Clark and this really kind of just not... Yeah, but... Well, no, Charlie, go ahead.
The way I kind of look at the Superman book, and this was no offense to Action and whatnot intended, but I kind of understood what they were doing in Action. I kind of was already kind of prepped on the big changes that were going on there. So I was curious to see where Action went. But Superman for me was where it was going to go in the end. And all the Clark stuff I actually found pretty interesting in that book. But I could not stand any of the Superman stuff.
That's totally agreed. All right, Brock, what's your...
But real quick, because I was letting Charlie talk. The secondary cast in Superman, that was the stuff that was good because you're like, okay, what's going on with the Daily Planet? What's going on with Lois? We get all this information of who these characters are now in this universe versus we don't get any of that in Action. We don't really see any of that. We don't see it. So this book was kind of setting up the Superman universe in a sense that sort of stuff surrounding him. All
right,
but bottom of the barrel books.
What are your 2 books that disappointed you the most? That you were hoping for? You had high hopes for that.
Wonder Woman. I couldn't. I read the first issue twice.
Really?
And I hated that. I couldn't stand it. I
should hang out with Rafi more.
Oh, I know. It was like, I think it was because I was reading everything and I was super stoked about it, and all this stuff had really good openings. Wonder Woman's opening was, what the F is going on and why do I care? To me, that's just how it came across, because you have all of this stuff going on, and it's like, okay, we're chasing a girl around in her underwear. Wonder Woman shows up. There's 2 horse things that come out of nowhere, and then some guy doing something. And I read it twice. Like, I sat down and read it twice. I was like, maybe I missed something, and it didn't stick.
How about issue 2?
I didn't even know. I couldn't.
Wow.
I couldn't even get to it. Yeah.
Were you reading Wonder Woman beforehand? Were you reading?
I had picked up a couple of the issues that Straczynski had done early on.
Odyssey.
Yeah, the early stuff for that, but I couldn't keep going with it after Straczynski kind of went off of it.
I hear you.
What's book 2?
Book 2.
Give me another book.
I'd have to say Green Lantern. Or sorry, Green Arrow.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You're about to get kicked off the podcast.
This was about to.
No. I actually like a neutered
You haven't
Hal
had a
Jordan.
beer yet, dude. You want one now?
No. No, Green Arrow. I was actually kind of looking forward to getting into that character, and I like Dan Jurgens' artwork, and that first story arc with the people trying to get fame by being villains with YouTube and stuff.
So bad.
It completely and utterly reminded me of what was going on with the New Warriors in Marvel, and I was like, yes, this is hilarious. Awesome. And then the next...
Now, did you read issue 7 yet?
No, I after this last story arc, I jumped off.
Well, because 7, again, 7's a new creative
Seven's
team.
a new creative team. I was like, I might pick it up later. Okay. Like a lot of these titles that I jump off of, I'm like, I'll check it out later if I want. Sure. But
Tobe, anything that like really jumped out that you were like, oh, this looked really... I think you said like maybe Grifter, I know you said was one that you were not
Grifter
super psyched on.
Yeah, I was super psyched on, and could have been awesome, but yeah, I I didn't care.
See, now,
I thought it was super lame, and so
I
on
actually,
and so on and so on.
I know nothing about Grifter. I've never read
Yeah.
any of those comics. I actually like the first couple issues.
Really?
So,
I don't know.
What's your
See-
take on why Grifter didn't work for you compared to the older version?
I want my old Grifter. I didn't want the guy that didn't know squat. I mean, that bothered me a whole bunch. I want badass Grifter. I want Grifter to, do crazy shit. Not going, hey, shit's happening. I don't know why, but shit's happening.
Doesn't he kind of remind you of like Sawyer from Lost, sort
Yeah,
of mixed with
a
a
little bit.
superhero?
Yeah, a little bit, but
And you don't like?
I want more badass.
Okay,
I want,
okay.
to me, Grifter is always like Wildstorm's Gambit.
Okay.
So I with a little more army background and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see Team 7 or something like that. I would have been dying if Deathstroke like maybe showed up in like, I don't know, Blackhawks or something, and you got Grifter being part of the team. Oh my god, they could have done so many stuff with him. It's like the art was horrible, I was hoping really badly. I wanted Grifter to be established strongly in the new DC universe because I was a big fan of him in the Wildstorm universe, so I was hoping really big time for him to come on, but yeah, I didn't do it. Green Arrow doesn't feel like Green Arrow to me. If they call it Red Arrow and made it was a Roy, that would have been fine. That would have been perfectly fine, but not as Ollie. That's not Ollie to me. But it's too bad. I mean, I know they were trying to do the whole the Smallville spin in, but I'm sorry. I mean, Smallville is the younger version of Ollie. You don't do a version from a TV show that's a younger version of the character that already exists.
Sure,
to me,
sure.
So I miss Ollie quite a bit.
Yeah.
It also kind of kills some of the history between him and other characters by bringing him in that way.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, Birds. I mean, one of my all-time favorite books of all time. Just doesn't read like Birds to me anymore. But
See, I'm really liking this new Birds of Prey.
Really?
It's different, but I've been really liking it.
Birds without Oracle. I mean,
Sure.
I mean, Black
Sure.
Canary. I don't know. It doesn't feel right to me anymore.
Sure.
It just, the new characters are cool, but nothing against them. It's just
Charlie.
So I'm actually going to pick two that I talked about loving when we started this with issue 1.
Huh. Okay.
And now I find them very hard to read. First one would be Supergirl.
Oh, yeah.
Supergirl started out strong. First 2 issues, I was actually enjoying it. And then it just suddenly went, ooh, kaboom. And
Yeah, I've still been liking Supergirl.
Well,
so.
and the funny thing is,
Go ahead.
I think I picked it up because you talked about it so highly. I was like, all right, I'll give issue
I
1
liked
a
it quite
try.
a bit in the beginning too, and it kind of
And because I actually did that after we had that discussion, I actually picked up a couple extra books and started. That's how I started Demon Knights and Frankenstein and stuff. But yeah, Supergirl. It's like that first story arc was. I really enjoyed that first story arc up into. But then once it changed, she escaped in issue like 4 or something. The current one, yeah, I'm done.
other one, and this is really tragic to me, is Captain Atom. Because I really liked those early issues of Captain Atom.
That was like your favorite book.
I was all over that book, and I was all ready to be like, okay, they finally have a Captain Atom that I can easily pick up. I don't know exactly when it kind of lost me.
Probably issue 3.
Probably about that. I think
Captain Atom and Mr. Terrific both lost me at issue 3. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but both of them I was like, this is actually pretty good.
I could tell you about Mr. Terrific.
And then it just
well, no, I could tell you why on Mr. Terrific.
Why?
Karen Starr is no longer in it after issue 3.
Well, you know why? Because she's in the upcoming
but
Earth
I
2.
don't know.
World's Finest.
World's Finest, yeah.
She looks a little weird to me in that one.
No, it's it
We'll get
lost
there.
you because issue 3 was the debate with the other general.
Yeah, there was that, which didn't bother me so much. I think that was also the issue with the Flash in it, now that I think about it.
Yeah, that was.
And I didn't mind that so much. It's just Captain Atom sort of stood for quite a few things, but in general, he seemed pretty confident. He was sort of a good soldier, believed in what he was doing. This new Captain Atom, while he started out really cool and sort of pushing himself, has just gotten into being afraid of his own power and fighting weird mutant creatures. I'm really disappointed.
I think I'm still reading it. I still enjoy it. But yeah, it's the first issue really kind of grabs you. And, oh my God, what's going to happen? And in the second issue, you have that really, really heart wrenching story with the kid and him really trying to use his powers in the best way possible. And then 3, you have kind of this tie in with, or this little, oh hey, Flash is popping up, so there's somebody you can recognize. But yeah, it's the story with the mutated thing. It took too long to come out. Like, it was one of those that the story dragged on too much. But yeah, I can see why.
All right, Omar.
So I'm going to get a.
You got one or two there.
Yeah, I'm going to get a lot of slack for this one. Well, first, let me just get the easy one out of the way. Deathstroke.
Yeah,
is one of my favorite characters. I love the guy. This is the same Kyle Higgins. I think I like his writing in
Higgins.
Yeah, Higgins.
Hey man, I'm 1 through 7. I've enjoyed them.
Yeah,
or 1 through 6 I've enjoyed. I will enjoy 7, and then I am done.
Yeah. So, well, I mean,
because Liefeld's taking over.
Yeah.
Well, I don't write it off just because Liefeld's taking.
He's writing and drawing it.
That's fine. I still like some of the old X-Force stuff, so I can at least try it.
Okay, with that said, on Deathstroke,
sure.
I'm not going to go into too many details because I think that everybody knows, where that's going. Justice League International.
Yeah.
I mean, Booster Gold, he has become, in large part because of you, Ryan, one of my favorite characters in the DCU, and he still is. I haven't actually dropped this book. It's kind of like in my May section, but I'm definitely like cheating on it right now with like so many others because it just stays on the bottom of the pile and it doesn't get any attention. No dates for you. We don't.
Well, it's a little old.
It
feels old.
What I don't like about it disrespects first of all the readers that love Booster. And whenever you go to sit down in panels and any of the Comic Cons, everyone's like, Booster Gold, Booster. Everyone loves what they've done with the character.
Yeah.
And this is even Dan Jurgens, who's tied to the character Aaron Lopresti, who's worked so well, done so much work in Generation Lost with Judd Winnick, which has been one of the best books, pre-New 52. And now we're with this book where you just have a bunch of guys arguing the whole time. You have Batman continuing to push up Booster being this guy that doesn't have any confidence and questions himself every time. And then Guy Gardner, who, again, is one of my other favorite characters, thanks to Peter Tomasi. That just seems like just another 90s dick. Like, back at, he's just like this guy that has no sense of substance.
Well, it seems like in Justice League International, they've sort of gone back to an earlier version of a lot of these characters that we may just be waiting to see their transformation. The problem is, we've all seen their transformation already. Sure. So we're kind of back to square one on some of these characters, which may be kind of coloring our opinion of it only because we've already done this journey. So do we need to see it again?
Sure.
Well, I'm wondering if that's the case.
Well, as you pointed out, I remember Brock talking about Justice League International had a big push. It really had this is where we're going. People were generally excited for where this book could go. And the problem is they scrapped all that. So people's excitement never paid off. And that also will hurt any book.
Well, and you also have, this book is coming off of the Booster Gold run, which was amazing because it was the DC book you could pick up and go, I'm bored. I want to know what's going on in DC history, so let me read Booster Gold and see where he's, trying to fix time. It's this kind of like fun little, month to month kind of, let's see what's going on with Booster Gold. And then Generation Lost was so amazing to read and such a great story. And then you go into Flashpoint where Booster's kind of like, oh crap, stuff's going on, but now Booster isn't even that Booster anymore. He's no longer even, the superhero you never knew about. He's Booster Gold, the guy that's, a bad cross between the early stuff and the Smallville Booster.
Sure. You might as well just give him the douchebag collar because, that's pretty much who he is.
Yeah.
Well, DC, they've had their books that we've all liked. They've had their books that we haven't liked. There's one thing that can't be disputed is that towards the end of last year and into this year, DC has remained a sales juggernaut compared to where they used to be. While they have not maintained their control over the unit share and dollar share in the top comic charts every month, a lot of that can be put on Marvel for offering more books at a much higher price. So they are gaming the system for the sales charts.
You could also say that it's partially due to, Image and Dark Horse have had a couple titles that have pushed a little bit harder.
Sure.
Image has pushed with Prophet and Fatale and
Saga's coming out
Saga
this week. Thief
and
of Thieves done
Thief
really
of Thieves,
good.
the Peter Panzerfaust.
Yeah.
All these really good titles coming out from Image.
Yeah. Absolutely.
they're going to take a little bit of that number away too.
Sure, but when you do the straight Marvel versus DC number, Marvel's been able to, DC had a few months where they were ahead by quite a large margin. Again, DC now, while not maintaining the margin they had before, I do believe that if Marvel and DC published the same amount of titles at the same price points, DC would be winning by a clear margin because Marvel wins out because they publish more titles at a higher price point. But DC has been able to maintain 2 months running now the top 10 books in the sales charts.
Yes.
This last month it was Justice League, Batman, Action Comics, Detective Comics, Green Lantern, Dark Knight, Superman, Flash, Aquaman, and Batman and Robin. As Brock joked, and many people have joked online, that Aquaman is outselling every Marvel comic being published. This is an
and it's really good.
It is really good. This is an amazing feat for DC. They've not had numbers like this ever. I mean, the last time DC has outsold, last time Aquaman outsold a Marvel comic was like 1960, before Marvel published Fantastic Four #1. I mean, this has literally never happened. Anything like this. And have DC dominate the charts like this.
Did DC ever have to create a team on it?
Well, no.
Exactly.
Right.
Jim Lee drew Aquaman 10 years ago. That would have been a hot book. So,
yeah, it would have.
Yeah.
But it's just
it could have been Aquaman Hush.
Well, they've had some books that have not been the sales juggernauts they wanted. Blackhawks, Hawk and Dove, Men at War, Mr. Terrific, OMAC, and Static Shock. The first 6 books being canceled after issue 8. Personally, I'm sad to see OMAC go. I do really like that book.
Same here.
Sad
but
to see Blackhawks go.
All the rest of the books are, they're
oh, come on.
They're not that great. Well, Blackhawks was okay.
I like
Better say it's
Blackhawks
okay.
for the most part.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was all right, but the new books coming out are Batman Incorporated by Grant Morrison and Chris Burnham, which is a continuation of the previous series, which is going to be
yeah,
awesome.
so it's not really a new 52 again.
Earth 2 by James Robinson and Nicola Scott, starring the Justice Society. So this is going to be their Earth 2 title, which is very different than the Earth 2 we know, so we don't really know much about it.
Very different Justice Society.
Well, I didn't even know if they're called the Justice Society. We don't know what they're called.
Okay, fine. I will officially call them the Justice Society.
Sure.
Maybe they're the Infinite Society.
World's Finest by Paul Levitz, George Perez, and Kevin Maguire, which is about Huntress and Power Girl on the regular DC Earth trying to get back to Earth 2, bringing Huntress back in as Batman's daughter and a more covered-up Power Girl, much to the chagrin of Toby over there. He's pissed, but...
Just give it time. Something's going to happen.
I'm actually not pissed that she's covered up.
You just don't like the costume?
No, I think that's a butt ugly freaking costume.
Power Girl's had some of the worst costumes in the history of comics. Trust me, this is just another one.
I think Amanda Conner did a fine job of it.
This is just another one in the
This
list.
one is just like, wow. It's like, can't get any uglier.
But major props to Paul Levitz and Marcus Toe, because that Huntress book was just
really
incredible.
good. Yeah.
And I'm most likely going to just pick up World's Finest just to see if he can continue that, pumping in that kind of creative juice into that book.
A really good job with that. One of the ones I'm most interested in is Dial H, which is a new version of the Dial H for Hero by China Melville.
I'm excited about that one.
And I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the artist name.
That's as funky as it gets.
Dial H for Hero was an old DC concept in the 50s and 60s where a guy had like an old rotary phone and he would dial in on it and it would turn him into a different superhero.
It wasn't like
now. It was like a rotary phone, but it was like the base of a rotary phone, right?
Yeah,
Where
you never did Zero because that was like Superman powers, but it took too long to actually go all the way, so you had to just grab one quickly.
So this is going to kind of work in with the Swamp Thing and Animal Man, and the fill in with the Darks is a new take on that.
Cool.
GI Combat, which is going to be War of the Time Forgot, which is like Army versus dinosaurs and aliens, which is awesome. So it'd be curious to see what they do with GI Combat. It's going to be a few different creative teams. And the Ravagers, which we talked about earlier, by Howard Mackey and Ian Churchill, coming back to do some art. Which is the spinoff from Teen Titans and Superboy. So, for me, we're losing 6 books. One I read, and we're getting 6 books of which I will read at least 5 of the 6. If not, GI Combat's the one kind of I'm wondering about. So, I can't see how this isn't going to be another huge increase for Diamond or for DC through Diamond. And now
You're just being honest. It's okay.
Well, it's a huge increase for Diamond as well.
Sure,
the distributor, they're going to make money hand over fist. And we also have the After Watchmen books, which are in this month's previews that is coming up. There's the actual solicitation set today. So, yes, it is going to be a very, very big month for DC, or big months for DC going forward. I think going here, though. Well, actually, I don't know. Do you guys have anything to say about these new books? Are you looking forward to one? one over another? Let's pick one. I'm going to pick one book. Earth 2. Brock.
I'll have to go with Dial H.
Of those 6, which one are you looking for?
Earth
Charlie.
2.
Earth 2. Toby.
Dial H, probably.
Cool.
World's Finest.
Omar? Nice. Okay. Poor Ravagers and GI Combat. And Batman Incorporated. Well, Batman Incorporated.
Actually, yeah,
That's
Ravagers.
not
Sorry,
a
I thought it
new
was an audio.
52.
Yeah, that one doesn't
Yeah,
count.
actually, I gotta do Ravagers. I'm sorry, I didn't think of that one.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I
There
gotta
you
do
go.
Ravagers.
Earth 2 is James Robinson.
Well, I'm still waiting for Gen 13, just eventually.
Sure.
That's the Ravagers, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, only one of them.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually, it'll come back.
Uh,
They're just training her to be a team leader. You know, it's all these.
Round
books.
about when they cancel Stormwatch and need a new book like that to bring in.
Yeah, what do people think of Stormwatch? That was
I love
I
Stormwatch.
couldn't get into it. Like that's one that fell off
I
pretty
like
fast.
parts of Stormwatch and not a big fan of other parts of Stormwatch.
It's ridiculously Grant Morrison-y in its
and
inability
it's not Grant Morrison.
in its inability to explain anything to anyone, and I love it.
It's very sci-fi. It's a very sci-fi,
Oh, yeah.
rich, heavy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's Paul Cornell and
Yeah.
one of my favorite artists of all time, Miguel Sepulveda. Is
Yeah.
that right?
It-
It's a
That
guy
perfect
is
example of why
sick.
people don't want to read comics.
You think so?
Yeah.
Because it's awesome and it makes your brain melt. That's why they don't want to read them.
I thought you liked the heavy script and the dialogue heavy. I mean, that book is pretty.
No, he's the one that blows Morrison when he reads Final Crisis.
Oh, got it.
Well,
Jeez.
At least we've settled that.
Yes.
our good friend and customer and podcast listener and occasional podcast guest, Gage, has suggested that we talk about, I think a cool subject would be, what would you like to see New 52-ized?
What would you like to see rejiggered? Just say rejiggered.
New 52-ized.
What would you like to see rejiggered? Toby.
Let's start.
What would
down
you like
there.
to see rejiggered?
Let's start with
I'm
Toby.
gonna give you a
this
really interesting one.
Okay.
I would like to see Lobo back.
time. Okay,
Yeah.
Lobo's going to be back.
That's
He's
a
going to
good
be
call.
a Deathstroke.
Oh,
Yeah.
is he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want a different take on him.
Now, is he going to have a red ring?
I don't know.
Yeah,
And this is part of it too. If you could have the character and you got a little bit of a spin,
yeah. I'd like to have a spin on him. I just want to.
You just-
I'd like to have a
you don't
different
know
take.
what?
I don't want the '80s. I don't know what it is, but
Okay.
I just want him back.
Okay.
But yeah, the other ones. Well, there's kind of a cop out because I kind of want Grifter to come back because it's not Grifter to me. You know? So yeah,
Something we haven't seen.
I want 52 Grifter, but not the one that's currently active. With that said, Death Blow for sure. You know, I think he could fit in really nicely. He could be like a Black Ops guy.
No. Do
Like,
you think they
slowly bring him up, kind of like what they're doing with Fairchild? They slowly, build him up in other books.
No. Do you think they should have done like the Team 7 Death Blow stuff with Men of War?
See, I didn't read
And
Men of
kind of-
War.
and
I
kind
kind
of-
of thought they should have.
I didn't read it either.
Black
I mean-
Hawks, but
I know you read issue 1.
or the first couple. Yeah,
like
so-
I wouldn't have minded if like Black Hawks got into a Team 7 mission and they fought each other and stuff like that. That would have been cool, but I don't know. I would really like to see Death Blow slowly gathering up in the DC universe. Cassian's death, but that's just personally. But Grifter. Hitman. I like to see Hitman come back and have a different take on it.
Yeah.
Like a fresh take. So, but yeah, those are mine. Hitman, Death Blow.
Omar, you
Lobo.
got someone?
Yeah, I mean, the concept of it alone just makes me think of Checkmate. First of all, so Checkmate. Just thinking about
Oh,
Like the
a broken
organization?
checkmate.
Yeah.
Checkmate sort of is in the book. It's in OMAC, but
Yeah.
again, it's a kind of a
Weird,
weird version.
stylized.
the concept I want is similar to what Greg
Rucka
Rucka,
Checkmate.
Greg Rucka did, and also to kind of find a way just to find, Ted Kord, to have him more kind of not necessarily front and center, but in the New 52, along with Max Lord, in a different kind of relationship and dichotomy. And I don't know, I'm liking that skinny new Waller because she's looking good.
Yeah, sure. Charlie.
So it's actually kind of weird just because my brain's like going through all these characters and going, the only stuff that really is springing to mind tend to be bad guys, sort of like Ra's al Ghul. I'd like to see a nice race
That's a good
story.
pick, actually.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Really good
Like a new take on the character?
Um,
Do something a little
Somewhat a new take.
bring it up,
I
modernize it
didn't
a
even
little
think
bit.
about Willows.
Yeah, I mean,
How about bring
the
Hugo
whole
Strange
league-
back,
yeah,
man?
the whole
Come
League
on,
of
bring Hugo
Assassins.
back. He's
Oh, yeah.
one of my favorites.
It's kind of ironic just because there's certain characters that are underused that I love, but a lot of them have gotten a lot of props over the past couple of years and are even in the New 52 already. So I am sort of thinking in terms of like Ra's al Ghul has always been one of my favorite villains, and anytime you can tell a new story with that character and maybe even figure out a way to tell a story better, I'm willing to give it a shot. Let's see. I had another one, which of course now my brain is going, wee, Ra's al Ghul. But
Hey, Brock, you go. Charlie, think of it. Brock.
Everyone should know.
What?
Geoforce.
You and your outsiders.
What?
No,
Geoforce and the Outsiders.
What do you do? What do you do with them in this new world so far?
Well,
Where do you put them?
I mean, the thing is with Geoforce, I think that with his character, I think it would be. You can maybe tie it in with something with Checkmate, where he's kind of. That's where Checkmate is based out of, is Sokovia. And so that's where their base of operations is. You know, I don't know. Maybe instead of it being, you know, you can somehow incorporate the Outsiders, but maybe not Batman's Outsiders. Maybe it's now, you know, like a rogue team. Because, I mean, Red Hood and the Outlaws is kind of the Outsiders book, but...
But he's not here because he got plugged in and used for Flashpoint to create the big, earthquake and all that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah. He's come back. His sister can stay dead, but...
I think she's in Ravagers. Tara?
Oh, yeah. Horrible.
I think Charlie remembered his pick.
Yes, it's another bad guy.
Who's that?
It's Prometheus.
Yeah.
Prometheus.
Classic.
Yeah.
Morrison J.
Yes.
one.
Offbeat.
Killed by Green Arrow not too long ago.
The Department of what's the
But the new Green Arrow wouldn't kill him,
the
so he's got to be around.
the DEO, right? The
Department of Extraordinary Affairs.
Yeah,
it is? Or External Operations. Sorry.
Yeah. I'd like to see kind of those books, those things come about where we kind of get the Chase, we get the Gotham Central, we get, you know, kind of, because I think those books really kind of solidify the DC universe in making it more realistic and giving us, like, you know, we have Manhunter, we have all these kind of, you know, really, really good titles that kind of just tie in, and they can tie in across different books.
I think Batwoman is working for the DEO right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, she left Batman Incorporated.
But that's Batwoman's one of those weird holdovers.
Joined them.
Yeah.
Batwoman's one of those weird holdovers where what's going on in Batwoman may not be appropriate to the rest of the world because it's sort of like a weird the old story that they're still kind of working on and adapting it to the new one. So
it's not
we're
high
unsure
enough to be in Batman Incorporated. So
we're unsure about the status of the DEO and Chase and Bones and all that. So Brock actually mentioned one of the ones I was going to say, which is Gotham Central. I would love to see, now that we're in a new 52, this new world, I'd love to see the civilians' point of view on what's going on. Do we have a new Gordon? Is he different? You know, Montoya. If she's the question, you know, what they're going to do with her. Bullock. All these guys.
Manhunter. What's her name?
Right. Kate Spencer. You know, see what the cops and what the civilians are doing. Not the non-superhero people. On the total flip side, would be a new Seven Soldiers of Victory. Take what Morrison did with that, work it into the pre-New 52 stuff. Take the Justice League Dark characters. You have Justice League Dark, but you can work the Seven Soldiers as sort of this other team of more esoteric heroes and pseudo almost villains and weird aliens and just other characters that aren't, you know, it's hard to stand next to Zatanna and John Constantine. You know, the characters they use in Seven Soldiers of Victory, I really liked. And there were some minor, pretty unused characters, and I think this is a good world to bring those guys back in, and you could do some cool stuff with them. So,
no, I agree with that.
Well, I mean, in the Magic stuff, you're kind of, there's only 2 books right now for the Magic stuff, and that's Justice League Dark and Demon Knights.
Yeah, for the most part.
Because Frankenstein, it doesn't really fit in that category.
I mean, they're all the Dark.
Psi Magic.
So it's Animal Man, Justice League Dark, Demon Knight.
But see, I wouldn't even clump like Animal Man and Swamp Thing in with the Justice League Dark stuff because it's more.
But it's all kind of the same.
Yeah.
So.
I know. I see Justice League Dark as more of the magical, mystical stuff that you know we've come to love. Which nobody mentioned Justice League Dark tonight.
Justice League Dark is good. Hey, you know what? I mean, honestly, I'm still reading about 40 of the 52 books.
Same.
And I'm every book I'm loving. I mean, it's at the point now with the new books, if I don't like it, I'm going to drop it. You know, so with the new switches and creative teams, I mean, there's a possibility they may drop some of these, but I'm just going to end up picking up 6 more books. So this is going to go up to 46 out of the 52 pretty soon. So, or 45. So, it's going to be crazy, and I think there's going to be some good stuff. I know at the store, we've had a tremendous amount of success with the books, ton of new subscribers, a ton of digital sales through the online storefront. Just a reimagining or customers just become so re-energized with these titles.
Well, this is actually why I think I picked Lobo. Is he's actually a character that a lot of people like and I never liked.
Sure.
And when first 52 started, there's books I wanted to see. I liked, but it was actually the surprises that always made me like go, wow, this is really cool. So I think with a new 52 Lobo, I think I could actually, they could keep some of the characteristics that the other people liked, but I might be a new take that maybe really get me into it. So that's kind of like, it's the whole thing, all the surprises that were in the 52 that made me like it is what I think that can happen for some of the characters that I thought should have been cool, but never liked personally.
Yeah.
Well, I think that that survey that they took a couple months after the New 52 started, where they were trying to gauge.
DC took a Nielsen survey of customers.
So how much new readership do we get? And it really wasn't any new readership at all.
Well,
it was a majority
I
of.
think there's new. I mean, have people here in the store on Sundays that are new to DC and stuff.
The problem with surveys like that is you're based around a lot of people going to comic stores. It's going to be a lot of extremely casual customers, some digital sales, not your typical customers picking this stuff up, or a lot of return customers who are already existing customers. So there's definitely new people coming into the store because of these. Is it 20%, 30%? No, probably not. But it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So.
It's a fair amount. So.
Now, we were going to wait and do this next week, but Toby probably not going to be here next week, so I think we're going to...
I might be, though. I might be. We'll see.
Okay. Well, you still want to...
Let's just do it. Let's just do it.
I mean, we got some time.
Fresh.
John Carter.
We got time.
John Carter, it's fresh.
John Carter.
We're going to finish up... I guess that's our new 52
Well, I think
talk.
everybody here's seen it, except for me. Omar, did you see it yet?
I didn't
But I
see
think
it.
everybody else here saw it, right?
Yeah. Well, we'll have much more to say about the DC New 52 as it goes forward, and 6 months in, is it really new anymore? It's just kind of the 52, so would love to hear people's thoughts, if they have books they liked, didn't like, kind of what their thoughts are. We'll read a bunch of them on the air, thecomicconspiracy@gmail.com, or thecomicconspiracy at geekbox.net. You can also just send it directly to us, comicsconspiracy with an S, at gmail.com.
Yeah.
God, I can't confuse all these email
It just
addresses.
gets redirected to there anyway.
Yeah, it does. So, the comic conspiracy at geekbox.net. That'll work. But John Carter. So, I think 4 of the 5 of us saw it. Omar,
How about I go last? I should go last.
do you want to see it? I mean, do you have any interest in it? Or
It's a cute little Disney film, right? With the guy running all around, the white guy that's running around. He's going to save the whole world, and he has the exotic Asian woman.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would I watch that?
It's really good.
I'm kidding. Go ahead.
No, so, I think John Carter is one of those movies that so many people, there's a bunch of bad reviews out there, and it seems like people are totally interested in it. When I went to go see it, I was with my friend and we were in line, and the people next to us were like, the girl was like, oh, what's this John Carter movie? And the guy's like, oh, it's like Lord of the Rings and Avatar, and it's some Disney Lord of the Rings Avatar movie. And she was like, oh, I don't want to see that. I'm like, what? Oh, I think one of the things holding John Carter back.
I think it's Avatar.
Holy Avatar, that's a movie right there.
There are 2 things holding back John Carter to be a successful film, because it did really well internationally. It just bombed in the U.S.
I mean, the Disney label should have been dropped.
Well, you should call it Pixar. What do you want to call it?
Touchdown or something.
It's not. It was marketed terribly.
Yeah.
But more so, I think, and I hate to say it, it sounds stupid, but the name is really bad. The name John Carter tells you absolutely nothing unless you know who John Carter is, and no one
You think
knows.
it should have been called Princess of Mars?
No, it should have been called John Carter of Mars, or
Which is kind of what the title was.
or Warlord of Mars. Anything that would tell you what this is.
I mean,
So-
in the end, the title that came up was John Carter of Mars.
of Mars. Right?
Yeah.
So, for those who don't know, John Carter of Mars
Or maybe that's the sequel. That's the sequel name.
is an old series. I think
Is it Mars or Barthone?
What's that? Barsoom.
Barthone.
John Carter was a character created by Edgar Rice Burroughs, also of Tarzan fame and all that. I believe he first appeared, it's 1912. So this character is 100 years old.
Wow.
Right? So this is older than Superman, older than all our DC, Marvel and DC characters.
But it's really, I mean, it's the birth for sci-fi stuff, isn't it?
Before, this is, so much of Star Wars and so many of science fiction that we're aware of is influenced from these stories. And the movie, from what I understand from a few friends who have read the novel, said it deviates pretty heavy from the novels, but it gets a lot of the concepts and a lot of the plots from the different books, right?
Yeah.
So this guy, he's a Civil War hero, and he goes, or I guess hero, and he's transported to Mars, and he fights off a bunch of people, and Dejah Thoris, who's the one of the princesses of Mars. I mean, these are all stuff from the different various novels. I'm not read the novel, so I don't know much about him. I've only seen the movie. I'm aware of the character and the backstory and the plots, but I just don't know a ton about it. But yeah, the movie I thought was really fun. Totally had like an Indiana Jones / Star Wars feel to it. Really good special effects, funny, good action scenes. But at the end of the day, it's about a 100-year-old character who is in the Civil War, transported to a Mars in the 1900s, as seen by a guy in the 1900s. I think the failing is that an American audience doesn't like old things.
Yeah,
and I think that's the problem.
I watched it last night, and
By yourself.
yeah,
No, it's I'm picking at you, man.
I don't give a shit. I'm man enough to watch a movie by myself. I walked out of it going, that was a movie made about a character that my grandfather or great grandfather enjoyed. It's not a character for my generation, or it's and the other thing I found really, really jarring about it, because I liked it, but I wasn't this is great, or I'm grandiose, like woohoo, I love that movie. You can swing it at me all. I'm just being honest.
Hold on. So the question, Brock, is this: if he was John Carter, 2012 newspaper reporter, whatever the hell he is, I don't know what the hell do people do. He works for Twitter or something like that.
Yeah, social media.
And he's walking around New York, and he gets sucked up to Mars, and he has a sexy adventure with Dejah Thoris and fighting off all the Avatar aliens. Would that have worked better? And he was all like, "Whoa, dude!" And he swigs Mountain Dew.
Fuck that.
I think
Mountain Dew? Is that what kids drink these days?
What kids drink? What do kids drink? What do you guys?
You said Mountain Dew.
I don't know. That's 90s. What do you kids drink these days, Omar?
You're the kid here, Toby.
I am.
You drink your energy drink?
I'm trying to drink water these days.
Good for you.
No, it's I mean, it could have
beer.
worked, but I mean, I think the hardest part was the hardest part for me watching it was watching the guy who played Helium's leader and his general were the same guys that were in HBO's Rome as Caesar and Mark Antony, and they played phenomenally. They blew me out of the water with those roles, and then they play these roles, and they're kind of campy looking. I just couldn't get past
Wait,
it.
you're telling me McNulty was in Rome?
The two,
The guy from The Wire was in Rome?
which one?
The main bad, well, not the main bad guy. It was like on the other team.
The Helium's leader?
I think so.
Dejah Thoris's father?
the one, no, not his dad, but on the other side, not Dejah's side, but the other side, that leader guy. That guy helped.
no.
They got the weapon from
No, not that guy. I'm talking about the Helium guy.
McNulty from. Yeah, it was weird seeing him because I'm used to seeing him drunk and going after women.
drunk,
So
right.
when he saw Dejah Thoris, I half expected him to have the little clothes that he had left to just take him off and let's get it on and have a couple of drinks. But that's
Maybe that was another problem with the movie.
That was
People just
McNulty
saw
for
The
me,
Wire in Rome.
Yeah.
So it's like seeing it in the theater was great because of the CG, because of the characters. I mean, I liked the look of the aliens. The white apes were awesome. But again, there was
Dog's
also
the best thing ever.
Yeah,
Hell
the dog's
yeah.
the best thing ever.
Well, originally when I watched the trailer, I didn't give a shit's ass about this movie. I did not care. I like Taylor, actually. I'm obviously a big fan. I'm a Friday Night Lights fan, but it was not until the dog showed up, I'm like, holy shit, this is a movie for me. The damn dog did it. I was like,
Wait, this is that guy Gambit?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah, it's Gambit.
Yeah,
okay, maybe I'll go watch it now.
And Lynn Collins is it's Silver Fox from Wolverine, the movie.
That's
Yeah.
right, huh?
Yeah. And it's funny because in what's a Battleship?
Yeah.
Taylor is starring in that one, and the one that's like, there's the trailer scene where he's like, who's in charge now, and there's the dude goes, you are. That's another co-star from Friday Night Lights. So it's kind of funny how he keeps having co-workers showing up in later movies.
What was your take, Toby? Because we talked about this earlier, and you liked it.
I freaking loved it. Yeah, it's really bizarre because watching trailers, I did not care, and I don't know why. Once Friday rolled around, I was like, "Fuck, I need to watch this movie." I don't know why. It's not the trailers for sure. I was just like, all of a sudden, I was like, "I want to watch this movie. I want to watch this movie," for some reason, no one would go watch a movie with me until like Sunday, I think. But yeah, I was like, oh, finally get to see the movie, and I was blown away by it. I actually love that it's set in the in the old times. Like he transported from that and had his adventure. I actually really, really like that. I like the end. I like the whole tomb thing. I don't want to give too much things away right now, but I was just blown away by it. I was like, not what I expected. You know, I thought it was going to be campy. I thought it was going to be silly, but I really thought it was epic. Yeah. I mean, sure, some of the characters were, silly, and some of the characters were, more family friendly, but it was one hell of an epic movie. I mean,
now, do you think, and Brock, you can answer this too, and then I don't mean to ignore you, Charlie. You can get your opinion.
Charlie
as well.
is into it too. I already know that. Well, because he's like smiling.
See, Toby's just going to talk for me over this.
Yeah,
one.
yeah. I know what's on Charlie's mind.
Do you think the alien names and dialogue caused maybe some more casual people to dismiss it or not be interested in it as they're watching it? Because it was pretty heavy on weird alien dialect and goofy.
No, I really think nothing against Disney's marketing team. First of all, the Disney name, I think, took a lot from the movie, I think. I mean, nothing against Disney. I love Disney. I'm a big Disney fan. Second of all, I think a lot of people didn't see Taylor in that role. I think that turned a lot of the old school guys away. I mean, if you want to talk to your dad or grandpa, Brock, they probably don't look at a little pretty boy to be, John Carter. So that's
like Danzig or something.
Yeah, well,
Danzig was supposed to be Wolverine,
but you know what I mean. It's like some people are turned away by that. You got a little pretty boy being like the main character, and then then you got funny scenes. So people, I think, were not taking this movie very seriously.
No,
I think that, like you said, like Jedak and all that stuff. I think it's really jarring when that stuff is going on and you're getting snippets of their language because we don't have another word for it.
Right.
And I think that can turn a lot of people away. I think part of the problem was that it was John Connor Disneyfied. Disney did.
I actually really thoroughly enjoyed the very first scene that Alien meets John Carter.
No,
the alien is the one that puts down the gun. The alien is the one that does the human thing.
The humor in this movie was amazing. Like, the funny parts were funny. They made me laugh. I enjoyed the funny parts. It was finding out about I can't pronounce names for shit, but Deja Thoris. She's an intelligent girl. Okay, the only way we see that is she has this machine that breaks. We don't see her in her.
It didn't break.
I know it didn't. I'm trying not to spoil shit, you asswipe.
Well, hold on.
I'm just making it clear that it didn't break.
I get what you're saying, but here's something interesting, and I wonder why Disney didn't go in this direction. Deja Thoris is a princess, right? Mm-hmm. And she kind of kicks some ass in that movie, right?
Call it Princess of Mars instead.
Why the hell wouldn't Disney push this, hey, there's a kick-ass princess in this movie, like all our other fucking movies with princesses?
Yeah.
Like, why not push that direction?
Because the title of the movie is John Carter.
But I'm saying, you go to the girls, hey, there's a kick-ass princess in this. You go to the guys, hey, there's, it's fucking Han Solo running around, kicking ass. It's half Star Wars, it's...
Come on, just leave it. There's a kick-ass mostly covered princess running around.
Somewhat covered princess.
If it was called Princess of Mars, I'd probably watch it.
See, I think
you should just watch it.
I think the problem is if it was called Princess of Mars, no one in this room would go because you think, oh, chick flick. Oh, but even though we know, but I think that it's a weird position where I think if you focus on the idea is if you focus on the woman, the men won't go see it. But it's a science fiction movie, so the women won't go see it. If you focus on the man, the men will go see it because it's a science fiction movie, but so it's like this. It caught itself in this really weird position.
I did notice there was a lot of man nipples in this movie.
Of course, you would notice that, right?
There's not a lot of clothes in this anyways.
The tattoo. No, hold on. The tattoos would go.
Read some of the Dynamite books. You're gonna see all kinds of nipples in that one. I'm telling you right
now. I was gonna say for those of you that love both male and female flesh and skin, there's a whole lot of all of it in this movie. So
and creature flesh
for a Disney flick, there was. Yeah. There was a lot of skin in this movie. But Charlie, let's get your. What do you bring your kids to this?
No. I actually went to a midnight showing of this.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So, just like most people here have sort of said, the trailers didn't get me excited for this movie. Nothing got me excited for this movie except my good friend Jess Hall's sheer excitement for the John Carter character got me going, yeah, I'm going to go see this movie. Because all I've been hearing for months is John Carter, John Carter, John Carter, John Carter. So we all went and did the midnight showing, and I realized two things from going to the midnight showing. One,
You were the only people there?
we were one of like 12.
Oh, jeez.
I think there was more people at the 10:55 showing on Sunday night.
Well, my showing was actually pretty full. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty empty and stuff. But I realized two things. One, I really, really liked this movie a lot more than I thought I would from all the trailers and everything, which was nice.
Exactly my point. Yeah.
The other thing, though, is people who knew the source material were bound to give it a lower rating than those who didn't. Because at the show and I went, there was sort of like the divided group. There were, okay, the people over here knew the source material, the people over here didn't. And both sides seemed to be in sort of unanimous agreement that by knowing the source material, it automatically dropped a grade, basically.
Wait a second. That sounds like another movie that was really shitty. Oh, Green Lantern. Yeah, okay.
Oh, boy.
Boring.
Exactly. That was what
but
you
one
said
thing-
after the movie. Boring.
Since you brought up the Green Lantern movie, I think actually the Green Lantern comic book has been negatively affected because of the Green Lantern movie being so bad. Because there's a lot of people that are now real DC heart, really into DC. Brand new comic book people. Because like I see like a bunch of my friends talking about all the books they're picking up. Of course, little hipster kids all getting Animal Man and Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
But they won't fucking touch Green Lantern because Green Lantern is such a fucking big marketing.
go
You know what?
Ryan
I'll tell you this, though.
Yeah.
Look at Green Lantern and look at John Carter. Huge movies for the respective companies. Pretty big gambles.
Yeah.
Mostly newer people involved in the movie. Both, I'll call them flops for the most part.
I'm still
but-
rooting for John Carter.
Well, I'm
me
saying,
too.
however, I feel both pretty solid movies. And in the case of John Carter, a
I'm
very
not
good
rooting
movie.
for Green Lantern. I'm sorry.
No, but I think it's a case of there being a sort of preconceived hate going into a lot of this stuff. I don't usually think reviewers and critics can negatively affect a lot of movies. However, I think those ones that kind of fall in the middle, it can. Someone pointed out that the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes were it was like 50% exactly.
Yeah.
And the people that hated it, the people that had the negative reviews and the people that had the positive reviews were all kind of saying the same things. So it's like, well, this isn't really negative, not really positive. There's good parts to it, but it's just you're sort of on this weird line where it's just not for everyone, but I don't think it makes it a bad movie necessarily.
Well, I'm going to put it that way. I think it's a fun movie. Go have a good time.
Yeah.
Go watch it and just enjoy it.
Yeah, and for me, it's like I would say go watch it in the theaters because it's a decently an eye candy movie to see in the theaters.
Yeah.
It's.
But we saw it in the digital F3D, but we saw it in the digital presentation. Looked beautiful.
I watched it in IMAX, which was awesome. But
Yeah, I did the IMAX thing, too.
well, it's funny because I actually didn't want to see it in 3D really bad. I do not want to do 3D, right? So we go into theaters. Well, yeah, fuck the 3D. Go get the IMAX because we want the giant screen in theater. And the lady goes, "Oh, you just pick up your glasses." I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about? I don't need no glasses, right?" And me and my buddy go into the theater. We sit down. I'm like, why would people get glasses? This is a 2D screening, right? We'll look around. I was like, if it was a 3D one, we would know because every fucking idiot is going to play with their glasses, right? We sit down. Nobody was playing with the glasses. Nobody, right? 2 trailers in, put on your glasses. We're like, what the fuck? And everybody around us had glasses on. It was almost like they were all hiding it from us. We're like, no! They didn't want to see the 3D one, but that's
So
whatever.
it was an IMAX 3, or it was an IMAX 3D, not just a regular IMAX.
I guess IMAX is now IMAX 3D because it didn't
They're
say it on the
separate.
ticket.
No, they're
But it didn't say it on the ticket and it didn't say it on the door when we walked in. So I was thoroughly surprised.
Yeah, there's only so many characters they can put on the ticket, and only so many characters they can not scroll through those little LED things.
Well,
But I mean, it's overall. I mean, yeah. If John Carter, I think part of the reason I didn't like it too was the villains. There was no really depth to the villains, and I kind of prefer a little depth to my villains. Whereas we all know Darth Vader because they're comparing it to Star Wars. But you look at Darth Vader, it's like even in the first movie we knew there was
No, I see. I like the villains. I like the Thorn, or how do you call them?
Yeah.
The thralls.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like they're like the Bilderberg guys or whatever. Those weird people like control the world and stuff like that. They're like slowly manipulating the people, and that they're not to blame. They make sure that they're invisible and stuff. I really like that actually.
And honestly, like a lot of things, I kind of felt that the mystery is part of the. My expectation is the mystery is part of the overall story, since this was the beginning. This was...
Oh, I'll tell you this. I loved the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
When I was like, oh, the movie's over. And it keeps going.
Yeah, and it was freaking badass.
Yeah, the ending was really
badass.
cool.
Yeah.
So, again, really, real fun.
And there's surprises. I mean, I actually like not knowing about things.
Yeah,
I was going in and going, this movie's over. No, it's not.
Yeah.
This is actually really cool. This is better than it was in the beginning.
Yeah. So it was fun.
I have to give it up to the Pixar guys, though. I mean, you got Mission Impossible, Ghost Protocol done by the incredible guys. Blew it the friggin' hell away. I mean, just like fantastic movie. Then you got this guy doing, Finding Nemo is the director.
Yeah.
He did, he wrote and
Wall-E
directed,
and Finding Nemo.
Wall-E and Finding Nemo, and now he's doing this. And I think it's a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like these Pixar guys. I mean, watch out for these guys. They're coming to live action stuff pretty strong.
One of the writers was Michael Chabon.
Yeah. He did the script.
did
So-
it.
and then that's the thing, these guys are obviously respectful of the source material, try to update it a bit, but
I think they're fans. I think they're fans.
I'm glad they didn't, modernize it, and I think
me too.
because that would have. I like these things trying to.
And
stay
Taylor
true to
looks
their
really
form,
good
so-
on that hat that he brought over from Gambit.
Yeah. All right.
Although,
Well,
the reason why...
We're running too long, people. We're running too long.
well, no, we can go a little long since we didn't have an episode last week, but we got to wrap up. So what's up? Maybe I have to-
Well, the reason why I made Ryan talk about this movie is Lynn Collins.
Oh, that's right. Let's hear it.
Should freaking be Wonder Woman. Oh my freaking god! If there has
That's Days of Thor.
If there has been any perfect casting for this role, it's Lynn Collins. I mean, first of all, she's like a black belt in some martial arts. She's tall. She's fit. She's got the bright blue eyes. She's got the black hair. She is hot enough for the guys, but not hot enough to turn off the girls. It's like a perfect match.
I thought Wonder Woman was supposed to turn everybody on.
Exactly my point. No, it's. I mean, if she
or no pants.
if she's overly, is over too hot, then the girls won't like it. But I think she has the right balance.
Too
between
tan.
a strong character. She's actually very, very not tan at all. Whatever you call it.
Toby's seen lots of pictures, obviously.
They were all tan
that's
because they
creepy.
were on Mars.
Yeah.
They're all tan because they're on Mars.
I mean,
Yeah, that makes sense.
here's my plea, though. I honestly think she would be a fantastic, fantastic Wonder Woman, and more so than any other actress I haven't thought of playing.
I could see it.
I see her more as Star Sapphire.
I could see it.
Oh, I got Toby in my corner now.
No. Wonder Woman, totally Wonder Woman. I'm sorry.
I can see it.
Yeah?
Yeah,
no problem.
The look she has,
know
the
what
way
you
she
meant.
was kicking ass. I mean, I could just see her like her.
And the
Bale
better question: shorts or pants?
I don't care. I actually like both. I actually really don't care. As long as they make it and make it with her, I'm actually would be pretty happy about it.
You know what? I know why Toby wants it, because every shot of her in an outfit has that really tight fitting, like underwear area that just that's what probably did it for him.
No, I think she's just fantastic. Blew me away. I didn't think my watch
She's got-
Wolverine.
She's got the right look, yeah.
Did you blow a load in the film?
She's in my
Blow a load
pants.
in the jizz in my pants.
And now we're done. All right, guys. Thank you for everyone. Thanks for Tony and his friends.
Sorry
His
if we
name
bored
forgot-
you.
They're way down the far end. Thank you for listening to
They're
our
on
ridiculousness.
Twitter right now.
Nice. They're tweeting.
They're
all our-
tweeting like
These guys suck balls.
What are we thinking?
We're looking at Lynn Collins here.
Uh-uh.
Why are we here?
All right. Brock, Omar, Toby,
Yo.
Charlie. Thank you guys for one more episode.
Oh yeah, dude.
This episode will actually record properly and be up tonight, so everyone should be hopefully apologize.
Fair warning
for
out there to listeners. I might be a little more stagnant. I might be not a full timer coming up.
Toby's got a lot of work coming up. Busy
Yeah.
at work, so
So I might be disappearing for a little bit. But
finish your fucking movies.
Yeah, but thank you very much. But I'll try to be on. If I can, I'll be on.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'll just be a forewarning right now that there might be episodes where I'm be disappearing.
we'll
So
keep your
I
sheet
apologize.
warm for you.
I hear like 4 followers crying.
that's fine. I'm sorry.
Toby, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
So
as to the 4 followers.
As we're wrapping up here,
Outro.
you can visit comicsconspiracy.biz, which is our website here for the store, or you can go to www.geekbox.net, which is where you can find this episode and all other podcasts, including the Geek Box, including which is the podcast that all of these wonderful ones spawn.
It's our
from.
dad.
Yeah, including the Comedy Button, which is Ryan Scott,
Someone's
and
dad?
the new podcast by
Karen.
our amazing Karen Chu from the Geek Box, Good Job Brain, a fun little trivia contest.
You know, it's funny when she
podcast
first
that they're
started that,
doing.
I kept reading as "Good job, Brian." That's what I kept thinking of as "Good job, Brian." Good job, Brian. And then I think Ryan finally said it's Brain. I'm
Brain.
like, oh, it
Good
makes
job,
so much
Brain.
more sense
Yeah,
now.
It's a trivia and trivia podcast. They're very interesting. You can go to forums.geekbox.net and you can talk to us on the comic forum and all the other cool threads on there. I know all of us are on there at this point now, so hooray, posting occasionally.
I think I have one post or two.
You can follow us all on Twitter, Ryan Higgins Ryan, Brock Sager, Insanity in Chaos.
That's correct.
That's Charlie. And also the Infinite Long Box.
Yep.
I believe it's just Infinite Long Box.
Yeah, at Infinite Long Box.
Which is Charlie's other podcast. It talks comics with his friend Jess and
It's an
our
awesome
friend Jordan
podcast.
and everyone
I've
else.
seen
Yeah,
like 3 of them
yeah,
already.
yeah. I got a little shout out from Mark Wade. I hear it too.
Hell yeah.
I think you linked him to he was asking about the podcast, so that's cool. Linked him to that. Toby's Toby XI.
Yeah.
Omar's Comics and Dakine. You could get like an Omar Brodrick one too, just an Omar podcast or an Omar one.
Big O.
Big
Yeah.
O, the Big
There
O.
you go.
Maybe.
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 Okay.
You're
Something
attached.
else. We have on www.geekbox.net, there's a bunch of little Facebook and Twitter and little linky things on there that you can link this episode out. We recommend you go on there and click those little link buttons because it helps people find this podcast. What also helps people find this kind of podcast is positive reviews on iTunes. I know a couple other podcasts do this, and I think it's a fun idea. So, starting next week, anyone that leaves a 5-star review of this podcast, we're going to give a little shout-out to on next week's podcast. So, we'll give a few, if anyone leaves us some reviews between now and next week, we'll read those. And, say something funny or clever or witty or have a funny username
a poem?
or something. Have a poem. Maybe we'll read it on the air. So I think it'll be fun.
Haiku.
There you go.
And don't forget to send those emails to thecomic.conspiracy@geekbox.net, and we'll read some of those next time, too. We'll have a lot to talk about next week.
You know, we need to get a Facebook page.
Nah, we got the
We need
store
a Facebook
page. We got
we got the store page.
Facebook is the Geek Box. It's on it's on Facebook. We're on there, so you can see us on there. The Comic Conspiracy store has one, so you can get us on there. Yeah, don't need another podcast. Don't need another stupid Facebook page. So,
Amen.
yeah, I think we're good. All right, everyone.
Are you done? Are you sure?
I think we're done.
I don't know.
right.
Are we?
Are we done?
And Collins for one.
Really?
All right. Well, we'll see everyone next week. Hopefully, this episode recorded properly.